Who's got problems? Don't tell me you don't, because you're full of it if you tell me you don't. Everybody's got problems. And there's no comparison game when it comes to problems. Everybody's got current problems. Everybody's got historical problems. Everyone's experienced suffering, loss, grief, difficulty. And we don't go comparing and contrasting impactful moments. I'll call them impactful moments instead of trauma, because some people have a hard time even claiming that they deserve to feel anything regarding their own trauma, because they classify it as insignificant compared to what other people have gone through. I could go through something and be nonplussed, unfazed. And you could go through that same thing and have it greatly, deeply impact you for some time. Maybe shape the way you see the world for the rest of your time. And vice versa. You could go through something that doesn't cause you to bat an eyelash. I could go through that exact same thing and not fare so well. It could break me, at least for a time. Different people are prepped with their inborn personality, their early experiences, their innate nature, and their knowledge and growth, and coping capacities, and intellectual capacities, support networks, and other things to be more resilient in various areas. There is no measurement of suffering just because others have suffered worse. There is no worse in suffering. And that's why I'm going to use the word impactful moments. These, whether it's a divorce, a breakup, your parents' divorce, or child sexual abuse, physical abuse, the loss of a career. All of these things leave a legacy behind us and shape us. Big and small. Struggling to get by day to day, living paycheck to paycheck. Parenting. Parenting is a wonderful thing, but it doesn't come without extraordinary amounts of stress. All of this adds up. And it has been said that life is suffering. But it's also been said that we make pain unto our suffering. Life is complicated and difficult, and everybody has suffering and difficulties. They're just unique to the individual. They're not lesser or more so painful than anyone else's suffering or difficulties. They're just different. Everybody copes differently, but everyone has to cope with something. No matter how rich, how poor, what color, what gender, what religion, what part of the country or world. Human beings experience pain and difficulty, suffering. It's a part of life, like night is a part of day. But we compound it when we ruminate on it. We compound it when we can't let it go. We compound it when we become cynical. We compound it when we become stuck in it and develop anxiety disorders and other mental health conditions. We compound it when they fuel mental health conditions. We compound it when we allow other people to mistreat us or cross our boundaries or lack boundaries and lack self-love, self-care, because we have a warped sense of self, or we don't care for ourselves, and we allow our situations to have controlled us. It is not unreasonable that we grapple with problems. Our responsibility is to do what we can, learn what we can, improve the solutions, and pass them on. Life, unfortunately, for each and every one of us, does not come without problems. Individually and societally and globally. Doesn't seem fair. Life without problems would be a life without growth, learning. If everything were handed to you, even when everything is handed to you and you don't have to work for it, and you have perfect health and perfect relationships and a perfect career, and internally everything is not perfect, you don't feel fulfilled. You feel like something is missing because you feel like you didn't earn it, or you become entitled and difficult and you lose your character to it. Not having problems creates problems. And it seems unfair, but it's natural. It's part of life, part of nature. It has to be there, just like nighttime has to be there. So don't spend too much time saying, why me? It's unfair. Why does this always happen to me? Don't qualify anything as always or never, or I am unlucky. You're basically labeling yourself, and you'll grow to see yourself that way and focus on the negative things. But don't spend too much time in the unfair, because it's unfair to everyone. Unfortunately, life isn't always fair. And this is your lot. What suffering you were handed. You were handed. And so, who else would you wish it upon? Somebody else has their own suffering that they were handed. And maybe if you could trade it off, you'd wish you could have your own suffering back when you realize what they were going through. Some people are just better at coping. Our job is not to eliminate suffering. It's not possible. It's part of existing. Our job is to reduce it, cope with it, figure it out, solve the problems, seek the problems, societally, interpersonally, individually, socially, globally. Try to find solutions. Try to reduce the problems. Try to reduce a needless suffering of others and of yourself. And every iota inch you get closer to resolving a problem, you pass that information along as far as you can, as quickly as you can, when you know it to be effective. Because there are other people in the same sort of suffering as you. Globally and socially, problems are large and face multiple groups of people. And if you find solutions that are effective, strike out, try to make a change, and pass along that information as quickly and to as many as possible. It takes time. It takes numbers. Sometimes it takes generations to really make a change, to eliminate suffering, to eliminate the pain, to eliminate the problem. But the more time we spend in the why me part of the problem, we're just whiling away, wasting the time, and feeling like we're the only one who's got them. Not only does everyone got problems, but I guarantee you there are others out there with your same problems. That is not to minimize the severity of what you are dealing with. That's to emphasize how much of an inspiration you could be to others. Every right and forward step you make to help yourself and those around you, every good forward movement you make in addressing your own problems, going through it, coping with grace and effectiveness, every solution you find doesn't just impact you. It impacts everyone else struggling with the same condition. That's why you find that most addiction recovery workers, counselors, therapists, miliotechs, nurses and doctors, everyone almost is a former recovered addict. And the same goes for many people in the mental health field. They've witnessed their family member struggle. They themselves have struggled. And they found a way out, a way to cope, a way to recover, a way to work effectively, and they want to help others. Eating disorder recovery fields, an inpatient, many, if not all, are survivors of eating disorder issues. Civil rights activists. The list goes on and on. If you see a problem in yourself, microscopic or macroscopic, in you, in the world, and you can make a difference, do. Do not complain. Try to make a dent in it. And if you see a way that works, pass it on. And eventually, we make progress for ourselves and those around us. And generationally, hopefully, for the greater good of everyone involved that walks the planet and will when you no longer do. It is not unreasonable that we grapple with problems. Our responsibility is to do what we can, learn what we can, improve the solutions, and pass them on. Keep calm, carry on. If you're suffering from a chronic fatigue syndrome or a chronic physical condition and you're running a YouTube channel, this is an option. This is my solution to a micro problem, and it's working so far. My hits are down, and I don't blame you. I'm not thrilled with my channel this year either, but I'm a woman of my word. The discipline of it gives me something to feel accomplished about. And when you feel that the power is taken away from you and your whole life changes, whether that's a health diagnosis or your job or your family leaves or you slip into a mental illness, any numerous other things that take you by surprise and strip your identity and your lifestyle away, anything that you find that brings you a sense of joy, productivity, contribution, purpose, discipline, that you can do in your new place in life. Do that thing. You still have the same human needs. You just have to adapt and adjust. When life takes you out at the knees and says that everything is different now. And that's one thing I've learned in this last year and a half. I haven't quite put all the pieces together and how to re-put the pieces together. But this is one of those times in life when everything has changed. And so I have to re-identify who I am, what I do, how I do it, what brings me joy and purpose, how I can contribute, how I can sustain myself, my relationships, and everything that constitutes my life in a new way. Sometimes life doesn't give us a choice, but to adapt. It's not unreasonable that we grapple with problems. Our responsibility is to do what we can, learn what we can, improve the solutions, and pass them on. Done. April 10th. Happy spring. Good morning and goodbye, everybody.